Hi, I'm Mary Beth Stapleton, Manager of Family and Community Partnerships for Harford County Public Schools. Welcome to the Parent Academy Real Talk on Safety and Security. We're here today, we're doing a series of safety and security, focusing on our new positions in Harford County, our regional security coordinators. And we're first going to start with Mr. DJ Ravadge. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
And thanks for joining Harford County Public Schools.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far.
That's great. So if you could share for parents your background, where do you come from, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I'm a former police officer. I retired from police work in 2019. Started working for Harford County Public Schools as a school safety liaison in the fall of 2019. Spent the last 3 years in 2 different schools, 2 years in Swan Creek School, 1 year at Bel Air Middle School last year. This is my first year serving in the role as a regional security coordinator.
Wonderful. And so thinking about that role of regional security coordinator, that's a new term for our parents. And we first heard about that at our town hall and our board meetings throughout as we were planning to get this into place. If we could think about, from a parent's perspective, we're really just curious what exactly your job entails. So thinking about that, if you could share just a couple of roles and responsibilities that you have for our schools. But first of all, we want to hear, what are the schools that you're responsible for?
The schools that I'm responsible for, again, I'm the Central Region. The schools I cover are everything from Youth's Benefit Elementary School to Harvard Grace High School is my furthest east. I'm south of C. Milton and I'm north of Patterson Mill. So everything across the center part of the county.
Great. So when you're supporting those schools, I know there's many things you need to do to support those. And our parents have heard one of the things that you might be helping to support are emergency drills, right? So we know we have, as parents, we hear from our children and from our schools sometimes that there are some drills that we have to do throughout the year in order to make sure that we're prepared. So can you talk a little bit about how you're doing, what you're doing to support our schools?
Yes, ma'am, I'd love to. The schools each year are required to do so many drills. That's dictated by the state. Each school will have their own timeline with when they do the drills, and there are numerous types of drills they do. So one of the things I'm most proud of is being able to bring the lens of law enforcement into the field and practicing and helping them put together their drills, practicing drills, ideas they come up with and how they should implement the drills. So for us, it's critical. Drilling and practicing those drills and having a safety plan in place are critical to making sure the kids, the student in the building are safe. So what we'll do is staff will come to us and say, hey, we're planning an evacuation drill. We can come and sit down with them and talk about the process for what they want to do as part of that evacuation drill. There are other drills, shelter in place, modified lockdown, and so forth that we help with. And what I like about that is they can come to us and say, in your experience in law enforcement, how can we do these drills better? What can we do to make sure we're keeping the kids safe? What can we do to make sure that as we're drilling, we're practicing as much real world as possible? So that's something we're really proud of, is making sure we're playing an active role and making sure they're drilling, and not just drilling, but drilling effectively.
Great. So they're really prepared if a situation occurs. It's just a way for them to get ready for that, and that's good to know. And
Absolutely.
So in your role with all of those schools, do you have staff at the schools that you connect to, work with, to make sure that they're prepared, kind of a training of trainers?
Sort of. We work hand in hand in close coordination with administrators, principals and assistant principals. Usually at the elementary school level, it's principal and assistant principal, because typically, at least in my region, there's the principal and 1 assistant principal. Occasionally there'll be 2, usually there's 1. So typically I'll meet with both of them. In secondary, middle and high schools, I'll meet with a designated assistant principal. That assistant principal is who I will meet with to have conversations with about their drilling, safety procedures, safety days, and any ideas they may come up with that are critical to their planning for safety and security.
Great. And just in particular for Central, right, the Central region, you have a vast number of schools that you're supporting. I'm sure even perhaps school to school, there's different conversations around what those drills should look like.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sort of. They don't deviate too. I don't want to speak for every principal, but I would say with all the principals I've met with and administrators that I've met with, they have a pretty similar idea of what they want to do for their evacuation drill. There's not much room to kind of deviate from that. I wouldn't necessarily say one person's drill is dramatically different from another. Somebody might pitch the idea of they want a certain scenario they'll create prior to that evacuation drill, and that drill will be consistent with that scenario. that might be the only thing that changes.
Got it. Okay.
Subtle changes,
Got
nothing
it.
dramatic.
Okay, great. Well, this is a really big job that you have.
Yes, ma'am.
And we thank you for taking it on. We know you're working every day to keep our children safe, and I'm sure parents are just so grateful for you.
Yes,
So
ma'am. It's my pleasure. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy it. So far, it's been tremendous getting to know the administrators, the school staff, and especially the students. So I thank you again for having me today.
Well, thank you for being here. And thank you for joining a Parent Academy Real Talk. We'll see you next time.